Well, good morning, church. I had the brilliant idea of doing a video devotional message today outside, taking y'all along with me on my morning chores. Not sure how good an idea this is. I can barely catch my breath. It's so cold. But I'm out here at the farm, and you can see behind me the snow on the barn and the trees. And I was thinking about how beautiful this is, how in the middle of the winter, when everything's dead and drab and ugly, how God sends his showers of blessing, of snow. You may not think snow is a blessing, I don't know, but it certainly is beautiful. I can barely catch my breath. It's so fresh, brand new start. And so I'm going to take you around the farm with me, and you can see behind me the blessings on the barn and his trees and new starts. I was thinking about how beautiful this is, how in the middle of the winter, when everything's dead and drab and ugly, how God sends his showers of blessing, of snow. You may not think snow is a blessing, I don't know, but
he was doing.
It certainly is beautiful.
Here's the mama. This is Rainbow.
So fresh, brand new start. And so I'm going to take you around the farm with me, and
Daddy's name is Skittles.
The blessings on the barn,
Rainbow
his trays,
is a 3-year-old
and
cow.
I was thinking about how
thinking about the rainbow reminds us
in the middle of the winter, when everything's dead and drab and ugly, how God sends his showers of blessing, of snow. You may not think snow is a blessing, I don't know, but
how he was doing. Rainbow's little calf. Here's the mama. This is Rainbow.
So fresh, brand new
Missing part of his
start.
tongue.
Take you around the farm
Thinking about
with me.
that, talking about that last week.
Daddy's name is
Skittles.
And
I like to give the animals a good biblical now. So
I was thinking about how
thinking about the rainbow bed every morning,
every winter, when everything's dead and drab and ugly.
And this little guy, he loves to see me every morning. It's been a cold night, and he's ready for his feeding to get something warm in his belly. And every morning brings a new mercy, reminds us of what God says, that his mercies are new for us every morning. All right, so we've left Rainbow and Tubal Cain. Let's go out into the little lot here. We had a new calf born last night. We're going to check on him. Well, as we travel out into the lot, I'll tell you the story about this cow and calf. This is Mabel. Mabel's a sister to Rainbow. They both calved their first time last year, and we had high expectations for Mabel and her calf, but I tell you, she just did not produce for us very well. And little calf just didn't hardly have much to eat and didn't do very good. But you know what? We have too much invested in old Mabel, and wanted to give her a second chance. You know, you can second chance yourself to death on a farm and not make much, but you know, when we've invested this much in these animals, you always need to give them a second chance. And things happen. Sometimes there's disease, sometimes sickness, sometimes the animals just don't perform. But we give them second chances. And there he is under that tree. Whitney went out and checked about bedtime last night, found the calf. There he is, up under the cedar limbs. You can hear Mabel in the background. There's a calf. That represents Mabel's second chance at raising a good calf. And there he is. Haven't named him yet, but I'm sure he'll have a good Bible name too. And there's Mama Mabel. Hopefully she won't get after me. She's going to her baby, and hopefully going to raise a good calf this year, which is her second chance You know, God does that for us over and over, another chance, so many times. So we can't take it for granted. We do know that God is a God of grace and second chances.
Well, I decided to stop the chore video because I opened the barn door and got about a foot of snow on top of my head. So I thought I would finish our little devotional time together today from the inside the house where there's a wood stove and a fire going. I just wanted to finish up today thinking about God's grace in our lives. In Ezra chapter 2, we continue the story that we began last week about how God had sent his people into captivity in Babylon, but now he brings the grace of God into their lives in this monumental event of letting them resettle the land. Ezra chapter 2 is an accounting of all of the different people that were a part of this repopulating of Jerusalem, or of Judah and Israel. And you scroll through there and you can see all the different family names and how many people in each family and each group came back into the land. This is really, I think, represents an exciting time for the nation of Israel. And you get down and there's a final count, and it's over 40,000 people who received some of God's grace in this repopulation and going back to the land. You know, God's grace is abundant. It's like an ocean. You could never exhaust it. 40,000 people receiving the grace of God is just a small thing. And as we've walked around the farm and just thought briefly about this story today, I want to invite you to think about God's grace in your life as an individual. First of all, have you received God's grace and salvation? Have you received that by faith and come into a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ? That is the most momentous event you will ever have in your life, where God's grace comes in and brings you from death to life and totally changes you. But you know, as Christians who have received the grace of God in salvation, we need to go on and keep looking for God's grace in our life, his mercies that are new every morning in our life. As we come into 2022, you know, the cycle of a year really is God's grace, because it brings us into a new start. I will tell you that today is my 47th birthday. It's almost a new start for me. It's a brand new year, my 47th year, which is also a bit of God's grace to me. And, you know, as we think together about First Baptist Church of Valley Springs in 2022, I'm just convinced that God has new grace and mercy and new things for us. And I want to be open to that. I want to allow him to stir my heart. I want to be obedient. And I want to walk out those things with our church together, because God wants to do great things in our lives, not just individually, but collectively as a church. And I hope that you are open to that. I hope that you'll join me in continuing to pray and seeking out how God would lead us into great and mighty things for his kingdom purposes in our lives and in our church. Church, I hope you enjoy the snow while it lasts. Go out and sled a little bit or have fun. If that's not your idea of fun, we'll just stay by the fire, stay warm, and enjoy God's warmth and grace through burning some wood, or by turning your heater up. Enjoy company, enjoy your family, and enjoy rest if God grants you rest. I hope you have a great day, and look forward to seeing you next week back at the church.